There will be too many people on Earth in 2039. People are on the verge of leaving. According to the United Nations, every nation must reduce its population by 5% per year. Every year, the students of the school must take a normal exam. Those who fail the exam are murdered by being injected with medication. Lena Michaels begins the film by assisting a high school student named Simon with his schoolwork. She pulls a box of lenses from her purse and hands them to him. Simon can answer all of the math problems as soon as he puts them on. We meet Edward Blake Redding. He slips out of his home at night and drives his automobile to Ellie Harper's place. Blake begins to discuss the upcoming exam the next day. Ellie is concerned, but Blake assures her a security guard for Blake's father discovered them and returned Blake to Dean's office. Dean is irritated that Blake left the night before such a critical exam. He believes Blake is too preoccupied to pay attention to Ellie. The exam is scheduled for the next day. A large crew of students had formed outside the school. They must first pass through a comprehensive security check before being allowed in. Blake requests one of Lena's study glasses, but she has already given them all away. Lena's buddy, Kellen Woods, one of the children's arms, stated cheaters. When he is apprehended, he attempts to flee. The guards arrest him. No one has ever avoided or cheated on an exam. Inside the school, Blake and Ellie have one more embrace before entering the exam room. The exam will begin shortly. The exam must be completed in 2 hours. To fix the challenges, everyone begins to utilize their tablets. Lena effortlessly answers all of them and is the first person to complete the problem. Kellen, her companion, seems to be experiencing difficulties. They get the findings immediately after the exam. The instructor is announcing the names of a few students who failed the exam. Students are concerned and hope that the issue will be resolved shortly. Those who do not pass are taken by the guards. They scream and struggle with the guards, and some even attempt to flee. If a student resisted, the guard would beat them up. Ellie, Blake's girlfriend, is called at the last minute by the instructor, and the guards whisk her away. He immediately calls his father and asks him to assist Ellie, but his father disagrees, claiming that the rule applies to everyone. Because he is outraged, he rushes to rescue her. He assaults the guards and urges Ellie to go, but she refuses. Nobody was able to leave. Blake continues to attempt to assist Ellie, but he is powerless to do anything. After a year, the shrinking test will begin in 24 hours. The doorbell rings. Ms. Birch, Lena's teacher, has treated Lena and Corinne as if they were her own children since their mother died. Blake is creating a video in his room while all of this is going on. He intends to teach his father a lesson by providing all incorrect answers on the exam. Let's fast forward to exam day. Corinne attends the same kindergarten as Lena. Corinne's class watches a video that depicts the present status of the Earth and how all nations must reduce their population by 5% per year in order to preserve it. Some governments impose restrictions, such as allowing a couple to have just one child, while others murdered the elderly. In America, however, the government opted to retain just the finest and slaughter the rest. These youngsters are no exception. The youngsters' test will then begin. Some of the youngsters will be murdered, which saddens their teacher. Fortunately, Corinne did well on the exam. Lena and Kellen go to school as well to take their exams. The exam begins and concludes swiftly. Meanwhile, Governor Dean discovers Blake's tape and becomes enraged. He phones the test director, Mason King, and orders him to give Blake a passing mark regardless of the outcome. Mason gives Lena his score instead of hers, causing her to fail. The test results come in, and everyone is astonished to hear Lena's name announced. She fared poorly on the exam. Ms. Birch intervenes as the guards take her away, stating that she is her finest pupil. She hands Lena a key card, allowing her to exit. Blake is taken aback by the fact that he did not fail. The students who performed well attended a school party to celebrate. Dean is also making a public announcement as governor that he will run for president of the United States. He boasts about their excellent educational system. Because of their strategy, they have the greatest education out of 196 nations, and crime is decreasing by 26%. Blake attends the celebration and hears his father speak. He then slips away from the celebration. He sneaks into the corridor without being seen and beats one of the guards. He then heads to the control room. Lena and the other failing pupils are placed in a room against a wall. They must remove all of their clothing so that they may be cleansed. Lena and the others are then escorted to a chamber where they will be murdered by a deadly shot. Blake abruptly cuts off the electricity, leaving the whole campus in darkness. The children who are going to be slain use this opportunity to flee and attempt to flee. But with the exception of Lena, none of them are successful. She exits the room using the keycard that her instructor handed her. Mason soon enters the room and inquires as to how many people are there. They begin seeking Lena after learning she has gone missing. Blake locates Lena and assists her in fighting off a guard. As they converse, they discover that Blake and Lena's scores have been altered. They both hide in a vent and trace the network lines to the server room, where they can see the findings on a computer. The school is still entirely closed due to the power outage. The information spreads and is shared with everyone in the state. Outside, the parents are becoming concerned. Mason is called by the governor to find out what's going on. One of the vents under Blake burst, leading him to tumble into the pool below. She pursues him. When she takes him out of the water, he is not breathing. Lena performs CPR on him and miraculously saves his life. Blake and Lena change into clothing they found in a pool locker. They continue via the ducts until they reach the server room, but there is a guard standing in front of the entrance. Lena's keycard also falls through the vent in front of the guard. She needs to find out how to get the card back since he doesn't see it. Her idea is to go to the science lab and draw the key through the vent with a magnet and a piece of thread. So they head down to the lab to grab the necessary instruments. However, in the lab, they emit a little noise that alerts the guard. They attempt to flee swiftly, but Blake is trapped in the lab as Lena returns to the vents, looking for the keys. She makes it halfway up before a guard takes it. Blake, on the other hand, was just pretending to be a guard. He'd beaten the guard and changed his clothing. Soon after, the guard, who had been assaulted earlier by the two of them, notified Mason about them. He informs them that Lena has a keycard. Mason summons all of the instructors because he believes someone has given it to the children. Ms. Birch flirts with one of the other instructors in the room and ends up snatching his keycard. Mason is still searching for the instructors' ID cards and keycards. Birch avoids controversy by showing them the card. Mason makes the other instructor pledge that if he doesn't receive his, he will tell them where Lena is. But when Mason hits him, he claims that he knows nothing. Lena finally makes it to the server room. She enters the computer using the keycard, but Mason has set up a password to keep others out. She then texts Kellen, who is skilled at hacking, begging him to allow her in. After some time, Kellen receives Lena's SMS. He demonstrates how to use Mason's PC. Lena then checks her results and discovers that, despite receiving 98%, she failed, while Blake received 15% and passed. She does further research and discovers that Ellie received an 88% and failed, but others with lower grades passed. Lena is aware that the grading system is set up in such a way that the governor may fail whomever he likes. Lena gives Kellen a file with the modified markings. However, the electricity is quickly restored, and Mason realizes she is in the server room. Lena discovers the truth and flees. Mason, on the other hand, catches her virtually as soon as she moves. Blake, on the other hand, is still not himself. He's among the failing children. He instructs the guard to transport them, along with the other pupils, to the exercise hall. But the guard refuses, so they fight. Kellen receives Lena's message and is surprised to learn that the results have been altered. Kellen knows a news reporter, so he immediately writes an email to the station. The news was broadcast, and the fight's outcome was shown in the results. After the photos circulate, the governor receives a call from the leader of his party, who informs him that he may lose his bid for president. Dean Redding doesn't want that to happen, so he blames Mason and pretends he's innocent. He attempts to demonstrate this but fails, so he kills everyone who fails, even his own son, Blake. Mason and the guards lead Lena to the chamber where victims are slaughtered at the school. Blake is also in that room. Mason calls Dean to inquire whether they should proceed with the murder of the children. Dean, on the other hand, orders him to stop. He wants the children who have failed, including his own son, to be executed. The guards let Lena and the other pupils who had passed the exam out. Lena kisses Blake, but the soldiers drag him and the others away. They kill them by administering medication through an IV. When the lockdown is lifted, Lena will be able to visit her younger sister, Corinne, and Ms. Birch once again. The corpses of the students who were slain were hauled downstairs in an elevator a few hours later. When the kids begin to move, it is evident that the medicine they were given caused them to be drowsy. They come to a halt as they reach what seems to be a factory. It's full of products made by Ashuru Global, a tech corporation. Many individuals work in the workplace. Then Blake discovers that one of them is his girlfriend, Ellie.